From who knows where, here's a couple of guys who talk sports, bet on sports, and complain about sports. The Better or Worse podcast with Rick, Shaw, Randy, and Mitch.
Hey, Randy, what's going on?
I'm having a hard time concentrating because I'm watching the British Open, and they were just showing the pictures of the streakers and the overweight gentleman with the tutu that had love and peace on his chest just came on, and I lost all focus.
Love and peace on his chest. Did he get tackled? Did they tackle him? Was there any security out there?
I don't think anybody really wanted to touch him. So,
yeah. Well, boy, and that's out there in the cold weather. That's interesting. That's funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the British Open's going on. Obviously, you're watching it. I think I just saw Spieth and Morikawa are tied at the top. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, both playing well.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about Morikawa because he seems to be playing well in everything he plays in. I mean, he's now a guy that you have to look at in every tournament,
right?
Because he's up there, and he's so young. Hopefully it's not a one year, 2 year wonder. But going back to that tee shot he hit last year in that tournament on that par 4, where he rolled it up there on the green.
Right.
He's been on fire ever since winning that tournament. He did well a couple tournaments before that, but it just seems like he's up there now in every tournament. And
I agree.
He has to be taken seriously in every tournament now as one of the top 5 players in the world.
I totally agree, Tom. And, here's the other thing, too, is that I'm seeing that your boy, Taylor Gooch, is +2. He's got a chance. He's at 15. He's got a chance to make the cut.
Listen, he went out and shot 6 under in a round, and then I don't think he even improved from that point in that tournament. I think he shocked himself. Listen, I'm pulling for the guy, but don't make it difficult. I had to go through pulling for Phil Mickelson for 20 years, and it was difficult.
Yeah.
I don't like it when golfers make it difficult for you to root for them. But I hope Gooch makes the cut. I'd like to see him make the cut.
Speaking of difficult to root for them, what do you think about Bryce DeChambeau's performance thus far?
Listen, there is something he needs to go to one of those sports psychologists. He needs to get his temperament under control. He seems to be getting worse, and it's almost like in a temper tantrum way that you don't see, but he throws these temper tantrums. I'm starting to wonder what went on with his caddy. His caddy was just like, it seems like after what he had imploded and said yesterday about Cobra, the way they fired back pretty quick raised your questions even more about the guy's mental state.
Yeah.
And where he is. And it is seriously bothering him. He'll continue to say it's not bothering, but what's going on with Koepka, the way he's viewed, I think, on tour now. Listen, a golfer broke his damn 8-iron. Have you ever seen another golfer do that to somebody, bend their 8-iron jokingly?
I don't know what happened there. Tell me what happened there. I missed that.
Mickelson, did in a practice round, they were playing together. As a joke, took his 8-iron out and bent it over his knee, and it bent the shaft. He put it back in his golf bag as a joke. But to me, that's like hollowed ground. So it just tells me that people look at him on tour differently and maybe like a joke. I don't want to use that. I don't know if that's the right way, but like a guy you can easily get under his skin, like he's an annoying guy, and it's crazy because I think it's gotten 10 times worse since he started bulking up. I think this whole new persona is I just want to be the long driver on tour is really irritating more golfers.
Now, I have no proof of this whatsoever, but he's exhibiting signs of a guy who is on steroids because he's got that crazy change in mood swings, a tendency to be aggressive at times,
I wouldn't say straight out steroids, but stuff that enhances your build that's not over the counter, that's manufactured scientifically.
Or maybe it's just too many vitamins. I don't know what it is. But
I would agree with that. But I also believe back in the day, I said the same thing I thought about Tiger Woods and about Annika Sorenstam. So I thought both of them were taking enhancing things to help them. So there's no proof. I don't even think they test for that on the tour, do they? They don't test for anything on the tour, do they?
I don't believe they do.
So listen, when it comes down to is, I don't like rooting against people, but man, it's like I fear the day that if Bryson DeChambeau ever turns it around, like he will be a complete asshole if he starts winning tournaments to the point to where you won't want to watch him.
Yeah.
That's where I think his attitude will take him. With that said, listen, he drives the ball far, but he's all over the place, and I can't see him winning anything anytime soon.
Well, it's going to be hard for him to win a tournament like this when you have the heather, right the narrow fairways and the heather. I mean, he's hitting the ball in the heather way too much. It's I mean, Heather Locklear is one thing. This Heather is a whole different deal, right? I just dated myself there.
Hey,
But,
you know what they should do? They should do a "Where is she now?" because she was the girl of like the '80s and '90s. But where the heck?
Right.
Where is she?
yeah.
And I think didn't she end up with like one of the rockers from Bon Jovi, and then God knows she fell off the planet.
Yeah.
Man, boy, you just brought up a big name right there from the '80s and '90s. The old Parade magazine girl, man.
What can I say?
So listen, I don't know. But listen, I think there is a new player that everybody has to watch. Getting back to Morikawa, he's up there to me with Dustin Johnson going into a tournament, with the Brooks Koepka going into a tournament, with the Justin Thomas. You have to look at them as a favorite. With John Rahm now going into a tournament, you better have him in your top 5 options that they might have to win it. That they've got to win the tournament.
And you know who else is within striking distance?
Oosthuizen all the time now.
Well, of course, Oosthuizen, but I'm talking about, and I'm very proud of the Americans' performance thus far. But how about Tony the Tanker? Tony the Tanker sitting there number 4 on day 2.
Is
in
Finau
true
up there?
Tanker style. Is who else?
He's 5 shots back, right? I got him at 5 shots back right now.
I got him at -4. Is the leader at 9? Okay.
Leaders are at 9. Spieth and
Okay.
Morikawa posted at 9.
Yeah.
Oosthuizen looks like he just birded to get up to 9. He'll probably get up to 10 or 11 and should post at 10 or 11 the way he's playing. Spieth is like the weather. You don't know what's going to happen from 5 minutes to the next 10 minutes.
Right.
Literally, he is like the weather in that he could just self-destruct, take an 8 on a hole, take another 5 on a hole, or he could go on a birdie run for 5 holes. You just never know. It's so inconsistent with him.
He and Rory McIlroy, to me, are in the same boat. Those guys, they can be great or terrible. It depends which guy shows up.
Speaking of Rory, where is Rory in this thing? Where is Rory?
He was not having a good day yesterday, and I don't see his name near the top of the leaderboard. So I'm assuming he's
is he going to miss the cut?
I think he's headed back to Florida after this little round today. So
yeah, I don't think he's going to make the cut. Man, look at that. And so getting ready to have the Masters again in November. I actually liked it last year in November. I love it in April, but man, I like looking forward to having the Masters at the end of the year. For some reason, I thought it was really cool to have it in November. But we're finishing up our big golf season. Listen, we're 6 weeks out of football. College football is making headlines and all across for a lot of reasons. The NFL made headlines yesterday for political reasons. It's definitely going to affect us, I think, in a lot of ways. Man, do you have any pulse on what's going on with college football and how the deregulations are going to affect the passionate fans?
Are you talking about the NIL and the paying the players? Is that where you're going with this? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and we'll get into the NFL in a minute, but what are your thoughts on how quickly it's been deregulated, how quickly the NCAA is saying let's decentralize this? It's definitely going to affect sports betting, but it's also going to affect, I got to believe it's going to affect a lot of alumnus and the passionate fans about their teams and the transfer portal. I think these two things are going to affect the viewership and the ratings, right?
Well, you're going to get me on a rant here because I have a lot of thoughts about the NIL and paying the players and the fact that now giving them a college education means virtually nothing, right? Yeah. Which is, to me, was a big deal. I don't know if you know how much it costs to get into a Michigan or a Duke or some of these schools or a Northwestern. The amount of the scholarship money that goes into that is astronomical. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? In some cases for a 5-year player. And then on top of that, I mean, the NCAA dropped the ball early. They had the opportunity to regulate this and come out and pay these students a stipend. They didn't do it. Now they've got an unregulated mess. right? All these players are going to be out getting their own deals. I'm watching it. I followed the Michigan football program, obviously, and I'm seeing all these players, both in football and basketball, out announcing their deals. They're getting sponsorship money. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I think
What's
it's going to
going
get
on?
it's going to be the opposite of what they wanted with competition. It's going to become very top heavy. It's going to become so top heavy because certain schools are going to get all the players now. You're going to have 4 or 5 teams that are going to be good. And listen,
You talked about the
they
transfer
weren't poor.
portal. Right.
Listen, these guys were not poor, not struggling. People say, well, I was eating ramen. Let me tell you something. A lot of college kids eat ramen. A lot of college kids, don't eat great every day. They're in college studying. But
I eat ramen.
These guys, listen, these guys have meal deals. They get 2 meals a day comped. They get sneakers comped. They get stuff comped. They get tutors all day. They have a very easy schedule outside of sports. To hear that they say they need to get paid, no, they don't. I disagree with it wholeheartedly, and I think it's going to put a lot of problems into college sports. Immediately after that happened, a company came out and became a business where they pay high school players now. High school players can now leave high school and go play in a paid league where they make money to play high school basketball. It's trickled down, and it's crazy to me how I don't think the system was broken at all. I don't think there was a problem with the system at all. They were making money. Those players were getting an education. Were learning to live on their own. Were learning to be, if they're good enough, get to the NFL. If not, get an education and go work for a job.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the problem with the system was. So,
well, now you talked about, excuse me, and I'm fighting this cold, but you talked about the how it affects the portal. Can you imagine now that the teams that have the wealthiest alumni bases are going to be the ones who get some of the top players now? Maybe they get too many of the top players, and because they can offer them financial deals. I mean, you talk about paying players, and you've just legalized cheating.
Yeah. So here's the funny part, and there's an ironic part of this. The head coach down in Texas. Texas has the richest alumni. University of Texas has the richest alumni in the country. However, they just went and got a coach that was fired for being drunk and berating his alumni when he was at USC.
They probably deserve it.
The guy that they got is known for berating his alumni, but they have the richest alumni in college football. In basically all of college sports, Texas is the richest alumni. That to me is the oxymoron and everything. So can Texas all of a sudden rebound? Because like you just said, it should go down to richest alumni now are going to be the top 5 in everything. Listen, Miami's going to be right back up there because everybody pours money into Miami. It's a very well-to-do school when it comes from people in the community and alumni pouring money in. Texas is there. Michigan's going to be there. Teams will make a jump. Teams are going to make a jump. And I think what the other funny part about this is now because of this NIL ruling, you're seeing Reggie Bush saying, hey, I want my Heisman Trophy back. You're seeing the guy from Ohio State, the quarterback, go up on Powell's press conference saying, we want to be reinstated. No. When you did these things, it was illegal. Okay, let's not overlook that. It's not like it was legal when you did it.
Right.
So it's just I'm a person that loves college football and loves college basketball and loves those 7 or 8 months a year. And now I'm wondering, what am I looking at? What am I watching?
Right.
What am I watching anymore? Because I used to say kids played college football for passion, and that's what made it so entertaining. And it's gone.
It's no longer amateur sports, right? So now you have 2 professional leagues. You've got a developmental league and you've got the pro league, right? And they're both.
I'm going to start having to watch the American Legion baseball. I'm going to have to see if we can find American Legion baseball, start betting on that or something, because at least they're still playing. I don't know, man. It's frustrating, and how quickly it's happened, how it's catered to, and then you jump into yesterday's NFL announcement. I don't know what's going to happen with the NFL this year. I don't know how that's going to affect fans. I'm going to assume it's going to affect them in the short term. But at the end of the day, it's been weird. It seems like baseball's been away now for a year. They've been off for 4 days. It seems like it's been gone for a year. Did you catch the All-Star game?
I did not watch a minute of it. I'm just not interested in those exhibition games. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't. I didn't watch it. I don't know. I think the American League won.
They did. Yeah.
And I don't think Ohtani did well in the home run competition. But it's not stuff I bet on, and I did not watch it. Turns out it seemed like it brought in a lot of revenue for Colorado when it could have brought it in for Atlanta. So more people in Atlanta should be on the hot seat on that one. But so we're back. We're back to baseball. We were back to baseball with Red Sox Yankees yesterday. And what the hell happened? 3 pitchers that have the COVID vaccine are now on the COVID list. 6 players for the Yankees are on the COVID list. And seriously, you know, I don't know. I'm starting to see more and more people with COVID vaccine get COVID and end up in sports getting COVID. And I think we're now starting to hear that COVID doesn't stop you from getting it. It just diminishes some of the side effects. So I don't know. Are we going to go through a football season now and have a bunch of people getting COVID? Because the Red Sox and Yankees are scheduled to play today. The game has not yet been postponed. I don't know. So are the Yankees just going to play without 6 of their starters today? Have you seen the number move on that? I haven't seen the number adjusted because of it. The number.
Well, they're still pretty much a pick 'em. So
yeah, isn't that odd?
Yeah.
That the Yankees are without 6 starters. One is Aaron Judge, their all-star, and the game's not the number's not being adjusted.
That's why I have the Red Sox today.
Well, that's Martin. Martin is the shaky guy. Martin Perez, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Man, he's either really good or he's really bad. But he does pitch better on the road than he does in Fenway. And I think the game's in New York.
You can say the same thing about Herman too, though.
Yeah, and I think he will pitch a better game because I think the wall really scares the crap out of that pitcher in Fenway.
Yeah.
So he could be a better pitcher today on the road. And they are a good road team. Listen, there's interesting all across the board today. Gausman is on the road. The White Sox are at home against the Astros, and some reason, some of the lineups aren't being put out there yet. And I always look at the lineups before I make my plays. But when I'm looking at today's game, I don't know what the lineup is for the White Sox. I don't know who's pitching. I don't know what the lineup is yet for the Giants, and I think that's very important. Because in one area, you see that neither Posey or Longoria are listed on the injury report. In another area, they are. So I need to know, I think Longoria is back. I think Posey's back. And then you can take Gausman on the road. But without both of them, I can't take Gausman on the road.
Yeah.
What's going on in that? Well, I can tell you're looking. Now I know you're better because you're looking at the damn golf. Yeah. What's going on in the golf? What just happened?
Oosthuizen just birdied and took the lead. He's at minus
He's
10.
At 10. Yeah, I think he's going to post around 11 today. I think he'll get to 11 for those last 5 holes and then play even, or he'll get to 12 and he'll drop one.
Yeah, so I would say he's the odds-on favorite right now, watching how things are unfolding. You know how fast things change. And he's not known to be a closer. So he's been close a lot of times, but he can't quite seem to get over the hump. I wonder if this will be the day that he actually does. Or the weekend that he actually does.
It depends on what hole he birdied, but I think he's got one more par 5 coming up, and then he's got a couple tough par 4s down the stretch.
I think it was 13 that he just birdied. So
he's got 14th. So then the 14th is the par 5. So that gives him another chance for a birdie. But then I think the 15th is one that's given a lot of people trouble today, the par 4 15th.
Right.
So I think he's still got that in front of him. But listen, have you looked at the board today for baseball?
I have.
What do you got?
Well, my favorite game got rained out. I had the Tigers winning the first game of the doubleheader against Minnesota today, but that game has now been postponed.
The first game's been postponed. Haven't they both been postponed? Or
well, I don't know. I don't know why it was postponed. I just saw it just popped up a little while ago, and so I've got to figure that out. And then the Red Sox, I like Perez today, so I'm taking that game as we discussed, and I'm going to take the Arizona Diamondbacks at home against the Cubs, who have a 16-29 road record this season. It's Hendricks versus Baumgarten. So I like Baumgarten. I know he's not had a great season, but
he's playing on the worst team possible. And Kendricks is a guy that can be like Maddox. He can be lights out, or he can He's not pitching to his potential. We'll just leave it at that.
Let's put it this way: the Diamondbacks, they're not bad at home, and they're at home, so I like that game. What I like about it the most is the 11.75 points I get on Sport Hitters for it. It's also 143 in the book on the money line. So
yeah, I had a tough time.
It.
I had a very tough time looking at the board today. I had a tough time saying I feel very confident about this or that. And I think what I ended up pulling was crazy. I ended up taking the White Sox at home. They're a dog, which tells me that's not Giolito. That's not Lance Lynn on the mound. I don't know who it's going to be. It might be Cease, but it's a pitch. They haven't listed the pitcher. They're a dog at home against the Astros, and I think the Astros will be without Bregman and probably without Correa, because I think Correa is out for his babies being born. Okay. And I believe Bregman's still hurt. So, like I said, I like the Giants. Obviously, it's Gausman. I love betting on Gausman. I just don't know who's playing for him. The game that I like a lot, I actually like the Angels. Now, I've talked about flexing, but I like flexing for the Mariners when he pitches at home. On the road, I like going against the Mariners, but I also think the Angels play a little better at home. And I think, I would take Haney today coming back at the minus 140. So real quick, Kelly, can we take the money and run? Take the money and run. All right. So for your one pick of the day, who do you got?
I like the Arizona Diamondbacks getting the 11.75 points on Sport Hitter, minus 143 in the book. And if it makes,
they're plus 135 in the book.
Well, I had them at 143 when I got it earlier. Maybe it's
plus. They're plus. They're plus.
Yeah, you're
getting. Okay.
Yeah, I said plus 143, but you said 135. So maybe the line has changed, but I still like it. And here's the other thing too. I think the over/under in that game is 9. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I like the over in that game if you want to hedge.
So my pick of the day is the Angels. I take Haney at home. I like that minus 140, low number. So I like the minus 140. I would run up and take Haney. I think the rest of the board, you got to really look at who's back, who's playing first game back, who's in, who's out. But I would take the Angels.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial. We're going to come back. I want to hear about your trip to, was it
Biloxi?
Biloxi.
Yeah.
We're going to do a little more talk on some golf, talk a little MMA that went down, talk football. So let's take a quick break for Sport Hitters commercial. So listen, real quick about those tournaments. I believe tomorrow is game 5, pivotal game 5 in the NBA playoffs, and I believe there's going to be some props for that in Sport Hitters. So there'll be Sport Hitter prop tournaments in the NBA.
Cool.
We're double checking today. Got to check back. I'm not sure if we're going to get able. We're going to try having props in the final 2 days, head-to-head matchups for the final 2 days of the British Open. So we're going to see if we get the final 2 days of the British Open. It'll be player versus player, who finishes higher. Based on who makes the cut.
So those will be on tonight?
Should be.
Okay.
We're double checking to make sure we can got to do a double check and make sure they get them in. But we're looking into that. Anyway, so you went down to Mississippi, and as you know, I've talked about it a little bit before. You went to that area. What'd you think?
Well, first of all, I went down. I went to look at a little property down there, and I liked the bayou. I liked the Gulf of Mexico. My wife and I are feeling a little landlocked out here in Las Vegas, so we tripped down there to see if we could find a piece of property down there that might suit us. And I got to say,
vacation or moving permanently?
Yeah, I don't know. We're just kind of seeing what was available there. It was more of an exploratory kind of trip, and so I got there and looked around, and I like Mississippi a lot. But I just don't know if that lifestyle really kind of fits us. So, and being in Vegas, it's beachy. There was some beachy parts of it. We wouldn't be far from the beach in the place. We liked Ocean Springs, which is like a little suburb outside of Biloxi, and nice town, cool little town. But that's the most expensive place to live in Mississippi, of course. And right. So, but anyway, we ended up staying at Harris, and actually, I got to tell you, it's a very quaint casino, and they got a really cool little sports book there. We spent a little bit of time there. I was with a couple other buddies.
Was it William Hill? Was it a William Hill?
I believe it is William Hill. Actually, it's kind of, but a really quaint sports book. So they've got the betting area in one part of the casino, which is odd, and then they've got the viewing in another part. So you got to walk a long way to make a bet and then come back and actually watch it. But other than that, I really like the casino a lot. But we made a trip over to Beau Rivage also, and I got to tell you, they've done a really great job at Beau Rivage. It rivals the Vegas casinos. I think. It's pretty well kept. They got a lot going on there. The food was good when we were there. The service was good. The gaming was good. Liked everything about Beau Rivage. And, I think Biloxi's kind of an up and coming sports area. I really like it.
Very good, man. Well, I know they used to have a few minor league sports teams there, and when I traveled through, I think I stayed at the Hard Rock. I think there was a Hard Rock right there.
It's right next door to Beau Rivage. Yeah.
So I stayed at the Hard Rock probably about 8 or 9 years ago. Enjoyed it. I enjoyed the casinos, and it was still recovering after Katrina back then.
Right.
I do remember that. But I thought it was a great area, and it's right up the road from Mobile, Alabama, which I mentioned. I like that area. Definitely the women are Southern Belles. They are so polite, beautiful little women down there, and they're so polite and everything. So listen, I like the area too. I'd have nothing but good things to say about that area.
Yeah.
Good deal. So listen, what's going on in the Open? I want to quickly get to that, and then I want to cover some other things that are going on.
Yeah, I don't think there's been much change. I think Oosthuizen's still at the top. I tell you, the three guys that I see outside of the leaders, Morikawa, Spieth, and Oosthuizen, the three guys that I see can make a run yet in this Open are Koepka, who's now at -5.
That's the guy I was just looking at who had 4 under today.
Yeah, he's at 4 now. Okay,
5. He's at 5. He shot 4 under today.
Yeah, he's 5. I had him at 5, and then I have Paul Casey's also at 5. Is that right?
Let's see, where's Casey at?
Yeah,
he's at 5.
And then DJ, last I saw, I think he's still on the course. He was at -4 and seemed to be playing a little bit better. He's a guy I think who can also make a run. So I see those 6 as being one of those 6 is going to be the winner of the British Open.
Yeah, I think it's Oosthuizen's this time to lose. Now, boy, again, it's hard to say with Morikawa up there. If I'm Brooks Koepka, I'm looking at the guys just in front of me between 5 and 9, and none of them scare me. Like, I can pass all the guys. I know that you like Casey, but if I'm Koepka, I'm like, I can pass all these guys. I can catch Spieth. I don't know if I can catch more Oosthuizen or Morikawa. I want to see what he does tomorrow on moving day. So right. I want to see how he plays tomorrow because he is the guy that I think they better all worry about. Because, like I said, when it's majors time, he's a different. He turns his head. He is a different guy. He's a different player. So one of the things you missed this past weekend, which was very interesting, was the town was absolutely madness this past weekend. So not only was there an MMA fight in town, but we had there was a Garth Brooks concert on Saturday night, the same night as the fight. On Friday night, the little guy Bieber was in town singing, and then the other guy Bruno Mars had a little, it was like Bruno Mars on Friday, Bieber on Friday, Garth Brooks on Saturday. So the whole town was mad. I mean, it was packed. And I didn't even know any of this. I was sitting over at the MGM talking to some people, and they're like, well, are you guys here for the fight? And they said, no, we came for the Bruno Mars show. And I'm like, what Bruno Mars show? And they're like, yeah. And it was actually right across from the T-Mobile Arena. So the town was absolutely crazy this past weekend. And then the fight.
Fight, wow! And we had a Portier in the fight when we were in the sports book in Biloxi. And
he's loved down there in that part of the country, isn't he?
Whoa,
We
were right. He's a Louisiana kid, I think.
Yeah, so, he is. Yeah,
he is. So anyway, we were having a good time with that, and wow! But what an ending to that fight! Wow.
So here's the thing. So McGregor now came out yesterday and said, I already had my leg was already fractured and broken. Now, all of a sudden, the Nevada State Athletic Commission wants to look into that. And if this is true and they didn't know about it, but yet the promoters knew about it, there is going to be issues for the UFC. So McGregor kind of broke the rule of don't say just take your lumps and take your loss and move on. But he came out and said his legs were he already had a stress fracture in his leg and had a dislocated ankle before the fight. And so the Nevada State Athletic Commission didn't know about that, and they're going to raise hell. So you might see a lot more events coming up in Abu Dhabi pretty soon, and not in Las Vegas.
Well, I got to tell you, that looked horrendous on television. That ankle. I mean, that was one of the, I mean, that rivaled some of the bad stuff I've ever seen. That rivals the Joe Theismann injury when I saw it. Yeah.
You're not supposed to step on your own foot.
Oh, don't even talk about it. It's like,
he stepped on his foot.
Yeah, it was awful.
The top part of his leg was stepping on the side of his foot.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
In no part of life do you go through saying, hey, you know what I'm going to do today? Not even contortionists can do that. I mean, listen, that shit should go on AGT. That's America's Greatest Talent or something.
Right.
So I don't know. Listen, if I was, that guy's got $400 million in the bank. Go away, McGregor. Enjoy it. Go buy another business. Go build all these dojos around the world. You'll make another $10 million. But you've got a yacht. You've got a wife and 2 kids. Don't fight anymore. There's no reason to. You can only harm everything you've done. Walk away from it. You made yourself and a lot of people a lot of money. You provided a lot of entertainment. And he's one of the best businessmen I've ever seen in the sport because he turned a left hook into $400 million. He knocked out Jose Aldo. He didn't fight anybody after that, and he made $400 million. If you think about it, it's true. So brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But it was gruesome to look, and the rest of the card was just iffy, right? I mean, the co-main event, Burns, nothing to write home about. So I don't know. I think there's another fight this weekend in town, but I don't know. I mean, know who's fighting. So the NBA Finals tomorrow night. What are you doing with that? I know that you like to be on the finals right now. What are you doing?
I like the Suns minus the 155 in the money line tomorrow. So far, every home team's won, and they're part of the series. Excuse me. And I like the under 218.
Are you choking on your own pick? Seriously, are you having a hard time handling your own pick?
Oh, my God.
I'm having a hard time handling it. Last time you told me the Suns on the money line, they got washed. They got washed by 20 points. They were never in the game. Now you're going to jump right back in and say, I'm taking them again on the money line. My goodness. You're feeling all right?
Yeah.
You are sick.
I am.
Something wrong.
Yeah, I probably got that COVID.
You might be. Listen, we might have to get off this thing called 911. You might be watching that from a hospital bed, my man.
Yeah, not that bad.
Were you out in the freezing cold? It's not. What was the weather like when you were out there?
Well, it wasn't that I was out in the freezing cold. The weather in Biloxi was terrific, but those casinos keep the air conditioning like it's 60.
You got cold from that casino.
Oh my God.
Oh man, let's write a letter. Let's do that. Let's do the 2021 thing and start writing a letter and complaining, and let's Instagram it. We should Instagram it.
Right. Yeah. Bad.
All right. So so listen, kickoff for college football is coming up. I know that we've got our differences on this and that, and my team's in a lot of trouble. I don't even know who our coach is going to be come kickoff time. But opening weekend is going to feature Georgia, I think, against Clemson. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to see that Clemson quarterback take the reins and how they move on without their running back and without Trevor Lawrence. I think they'll be okay. But that's a tough opening game for anybody.
It is, yeah.
And that's one of those games when they lose, you'll start to hear everybody say, well, at least they lost early. They still have a chance to climb back in the college playoff picture. So that's an interesting game. The Florida State Notre Dame game is an interesting game right off the bat.
Right.
It just seems like everybody's playing tough games now right at the beginning of the season, which typically doesn't happen, right?
Right.
That hasn't been happening. Don't they usually play warm-up games?
They do. And I think Wisconsin and Penn State kick off that week too.
Oh, I think that's a whitewash for Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, I don't think
Penn State's supposed to be pretty good.
Well, it depends. It depends on which Penn State team shows up. But I think Wisconsin's a 4.5 point favorite last I saw.
Oh, you're already looking at the Lions. So you've been following. So the NFL is coming up. You following what's going on with the Lions at all? Do the Lions fans have any hope at all right now about the season?
No. I gave you the short answer. No.
So what if you're a Lions fan and you look forward to the season? How is it going into a season knowing that your team stinks? Like,
Well,
what is that like?
when you trade, Matt Stafford for Jared Goff, that's all you need to see. That's all that tells the whole story, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay,
Yeah.
they traded, Matt Stafford for Jared Goff. They dumped all that salary. They're going to draft a quarterback in the first round, right? I mean, that to me, that was the clear indicator. No, that didn't happen, right?
Do they have a new GM this year? Is it not the old linebacker anymore?
Yeah. No, they got the new GM. No, they had Bob Quinn, who was the Patriots assistant GM for a number of years. He was awful. And now they've got another guy, and I can't remember his name. And they've got a new coach, too. So, new regime in Detroit.
Patricia didn't make it, huh?
Nope, he didn't make it.
Didn't make it. Interesting. Well, what's the big plays this weekend for you? Just the Suns?
Just the Suns minus the 155. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And, that's pretty much it.
All right. So next week we're gonna have some guests on, I think, and start talking. I've been trying to get in touch with this one guy who's trying to build like an app to help people that gamble. So I'd love to hear his. I'd love to know if he was a guy that gambled away all his money before he
Right.
Is this a guy that lost a lot, and that's why he's doing this?
Is that Ted Watanabe? Is that who it is?
No. Who is Ted Watanabe? Who is that?
You don't know who that is? That's the guy who lost over $200 million to Vegas in a year. You know about that guy, right?
No. When was this?
$200 million. Yeah. Yes. This was, I think, 2017 or 2018.
He lost $200 million in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
You know how he did it? He bet money line on the Suns all the time. Every day he was going money line on the Suns.
There you go. That's a that's how you turn a large fortune into a small fortune, right? Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right, listen. Go take care of that. Drink some tea. Rest up this weekend, and we'll be back on Monday.
Get your money and run.